afternoon, everyone. So welcome to the AI, the session, the AI Revolution, New Career Pathway in a Digital World. So today's speaker will be Nelson Liu from the lead trainer Boston Consulting Group. Now, the silent conference will begin.
Right. Hi, everyone. So Nelson is here. He's my teammate, and I'm Wilson. Both of us are from BCG. So really excited to see all of you here. Thanks for joining us after lunch. And today we'll be talking about the AI revolution and also what exactly does it mean for careers in this digital world where things are moving really quickly. So I'll share a bit about what exactly will we be covering. And okay, so these are both of us. I'll leave Nelson to give a bit more context about the work that he does with BCG, really relevant to our topic today. But I think today we are aiming to cover these few items. The first is to give you an introduction to AI and the journey it took to get to where it is today, right? So that's the evolution part. But the second part is actually very important, where we will share more about the impact of AI and how it actually impacts the financial services industry by sharing real-life examples of how BCG has already partnered financial institutions to solve their business problems by successfully navigating through AI-powered digital transformation journeys. So I think that's where we'll deep dive into the context, what we did, and the impact. So that's where Nelson will go into more detail of. After that, he'll hand it back to me, where I'll share more about the growing adoption of Gen AI and what does it mean when it comes to the digital talent shortage in Singapore, and what does it mean for all of us here in terms of upskilling and how we can contribute more in this fast-changing digital transformation in Singapore. And the last part is really about sharing how does BCG do it differently when it comes to digital upskilling. So that's where we'll talk about the holistic approach that we use, where we'll pick the key insights, processes, and best practices from all these BCG projects and teach it to members of public like you and me through the Rise 2.0 courses. So I'll dive deeper into that. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Nelson, and he will be able to guide us on this journey of Gen AI and the impact.
Thank you so much, Wilson. Once again, a very good afternoon to one and all. My name is Nelson. I'm a lead trainer with BCGU for our RISE program over here in Singapore. So in case you are wondering what BCGU is, BCGU is our BCG's very own, in-house upskilling and training wing over here. For our RISE program, we have been in the business in Singapore since 2021, and I'm very happy to share that I think from then until now, we have managed to successfully upskill and, facilitate the career transition of many of our clients and our local Singaporeans, about 10,000 plus of them over here, right? Okay, so just to share very quickly what are some of the things that I do, which are the programs that I'm involved in. I actually help to facilitate some of the business and data analytics programs over here in the RISE program. I'm also heavily involved in a lot of the upskilling programs pertaining to AI as well as digital transformation for our global clients as well. Right, so I think today it is very apt for BCG over here to be sharing with everyone pertaining to upskilling, especially on the topic of artificial intelligence. Right, so based on our FinTech Festival this year's one of the key themes would be on AI as well as, of course, quantum technologies. Right, and then another key theme is, of course, we are trying to nurture more talents of tomorrow. So over here, hopefully, we can inspire more of us to be more involved, to find out more about what AI is, what Gen AI is, what are some of the relevant use cases, and how it potentially affects our daily lives, be it personal lives or even in our careers. So I think it is no longer a surprise to us that we are, moving from a so-called mobile-first world into the AI-first world. Right, maybe about 10 years ago, most of us can no longer live without our mobile phones, right? We are very reliant on our mobile applications, right? Take it away from us and basically we would have been impaired for the rest of the day. Today, the same can be said very similarly, right? We are still pretty reliant on our appliances and gadgets, right? But what has sneakily crept into most of all these applications, mobile applications, is the incorporation of AI-driven capabilities. right? The first thing you wake up in the morning, you look at your phone, it unlocks by itself. There's computer vision, there's facial recognition involved. You open your content applications such as Netflix, Disney Plus. Your homepage is going to look vastly different from mine, right? Because there's some hyper personalization efforts that are taking place on the back end, right? And all these are very key examples of how AI have already sneakily taken over our daily lives, right? Even for WhatsApp, Meta has already incorporated their AI capabilities in their search functions as well. So it is no longer a surprise that we have already transitioned into an AI-first era. So according to Dr. Li Feifei, right, one of the key figureheads in AI and Gen AI development, right? So I think she's from the Stanford Institute. So according to her, the next generation would be the ones who actually drive the use cases of AI, right? By next generation over here, please do not be mistaken. It does not concern our age group over here, right? Next generation over here actually means the next generation workforce, which includes everyone, including you and I, right? So of course, with the Gen Zs entering the workforce, and in the next 10 years, the Gen Alphas entering the workforce, this is definitely going to be true to them as well. However, one key thing is that the younger generation, Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, AI and Gen AI use cases is going to be very ubiquitous in their daily lives. It is going to be second nature to them, right? Leaving us, right, the more senior workforce who also aspires to become the next generation workforce to understand how to best leverage on AI and Gen AI to make sure that we are still equally, if not more effective and productive in the workforce. Microsoft CEO, right, Mr. Satya Nadella, I actually like his perspective on AI. So with AI and Gen AI, naturally, that most of us would have a concern, right? So is AI going to displace me from my current role? He does not like this kind of perspective. He does not like it that, most of us actually think of AI as another person or another entity that, that is humanized, right? Because as human beings, we have true intelligence, right? AI is known AI because it's supposed to be artificial. And at this point in time, at this current stage, most AI solutions are actually seen as narrow AI solutions. Narrow AI basically means they are adept and they are excellent at doing maybe one or two tasks, but any other tasks they are unable to perform, right? So if you're talking about AI solutions that are able to do everything like a human being, we are talking about artificial general intelligence. At this point in time, I wouldn't say it's impossible, right? But it is not commercially viable yet, right? I think most of the major organizations are still at a rush to try to come up with the first feasible, commercially viable AGI solution, right? So of course, earlier this year at the Davos World Economic Forum, it has already been established, right? So it is very important, it is imperative for all of us to understand what is AI, what is Gen AI, what are the relevant use cases, right? That's going to help us to transform our daily lives as well as in our daily work lives. So of course, all of us understand the importance of AI and Gen AI and that we can no longer live in a world without it, right? So in fact, if you're going to quantify the impact of AI, right? So according to BCG as well as some of our competitors, right, we've come to the same conclusion. It has been projected that by 2030, the entire global economy is going to, be affected by AI-driven solutions. The impact of AI-driven solutions is going to hit about $16 trillion US dollars, all right? So to put it into perspective, 16 trillion US dollars is the equivalent of China and India's combined GDP today, right? That is the kind of quantum, the kind of impact that we're looking at. Right, that AI would be capable of driving AI-powered solutions, right, to boost consumer demands globally. Okay, so of course with that, we first need to ask ourselves, if we do not already have a good understanding exactly what is AI. Textbook definition, short and simple. AI is basically any agent or machines that mimics human intelligence, right? Which is why we coined it artificial intelligence. So what are human beings most adept at doing? Seeing things, sensing our environment, communicating with each other through natural language. Until 2016, 2017, before ChatGPT released their free version of GPT 3.5 to the world, this was one of the greatest problems that the data scientists had to solve using the formal, traditional AI solutions. All right, and the effectiveness of those solutions back then weren't that great compared to what we are seeing today, right? Based on the solutions of large language models, right? So AI does all these things, right? Sense the environment, natural language processing, which is why the best use cases for AI solutions are actually surveillance, right? Security surveillance, process automation, right? Because they can understand what are some of the processes and they can automate all the repetitive processes for human beings. Okay? What else? Autonomous action, for example, Waymo and Tesla self-driving cars. What else? Education. So in today, be it for education, be it for upskilling purposes, we are already starting to see that we are trying to personalize the training delivery, right, for each and every individual learner based on their pace of learning and based on their, the recognition of their prior skills and experience as well. Okay, so AI comes into play a lot for that aspect also. So definitely, I think over here, very apt for FinTech Festival, right? For the financial services sector, fraud detection, cybersecurity are definitely one of the key use cases, right? We are already seeing many of the financial institutions implementing AI and Gen AI solutions, right, to minimize the effects of fraudulent transactions, scam transactions, and so on. Now, that was the definition of AI, right? So where does Gen AI come in? If you take a look at this Venn diagram over here, right? So AI forms the background of the Venn diagram. So AI is primarily, or rather today, the AI solutions that we see are primarily implemented using machine learning algorithms. Right? So machine learning algorithms, some of you may have heard of it, things like unsupervised learning, supervised learning, reinforcement learning, and whatnot. Okay, but not to worry if you're not familiar with these terms. All right, that's where our program might come in useful later on, right? All right, so of course with machine learning, specific to AI, how are the earlier AI solutions being implemented? Right, they are still considered machine learning models, but they are implemented using specific machine learning techniques such as artificial neural networks. All right, so again, if you have heard of terms such as multi-layer perceptron models, convolutional neural models, neural network models, recurrent neural network models, all these are part and parcel of what we call deep learning models. Deep learning models are very important because they form the foundation, right, of what we see today known as the foundation models. I'm not too sure whether that's how they come up with the name foundation models, right? But foundation models are basically how most of the large language models, how most of the GPT models are actually being trained today. Right? So they are basically built onto the architecture of deep learning, except that, with what? With access to public data on the internet. Right, we're talking about such voluminous amounts of data. Right, that's why we are able to train all these GPT models, large language models, to be able to do whatever they can do today. Right, and we are seeing the results on ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Anthropic, Claude, and whatnot. Okay, so this is something that is important for us to understand. When we talk about AI, when we talk about Gen AI, what are the key differences in terms of implementation? So let's focus into a little bit about foundation models, right? Because we live in a AI era, we live in a Gen AI era progressively as well, right? So Gen AI, most of the solutions today, when we talk about large language models, they are built on foundation models, right? So ultimately, what are foundation models? So foundation models, first thing, pre-trained on sufficient data set over here is a gross understatement. We are talking about billions or trillions of parameters, all right, whereby the data is I think the very first few versions of the large language models were being trained on publicly accessible websites as well as the data on the internet, right, including almost the entire Wikipedia. So trained on huge data sets for sure, right, foundation models, which is why they're excellent at natural language processing. Imagine reading all the books, all the websites in the world, right? Secondly, foundation models leverage on a concept called self-supervised learning, meaning they do not require much human intervention to specifically tell them, all right, you need to understand what are some of the patterns and trends for this particular data set, what are some of the labels for the data set and whatnot, right? Foundation models have this capability to perform self-supervised learning. They are smart enough to understand what are some of the important and critical patterns and data, all right, embedded in the training data set, okay, to learn. And thirdly, most of the LLMs that we see today, they are considered generalized models. Generalized models means what? As the term generalized means, it is not supposed to be adept at one particular task or activity. However, large language models can be further trained and fine-tuned to be able to specialize in specific tasks. For example, for ChatGPT 3.5, if you recall about almost 2 years ago, right? ChatGPT 3.5 is a very generalized model. Was it able to, generate images for us previously? It wasn't able to. Today, right? So of course, with the enhanced multimodal functionalities, right? ChatGPT 4, the latest version, I believe, right, is now able to perform a wider variety of tasks. Okay, it become more specialized in different things that we expect it to do. Okay, so this is what it means by multiple downstream tasks. So I think it is good that, hopefully all of us understand what is AI, what is Gen AI better now, right? How to implement Gen AI, what are foundation models primarily, because foundation models drives most of the Gen AI solutions that we see today. Now, let us take a look at the impact of AI and Gen AI in the financial services industry of today. Okay? So over here in BCG, we believe that there's an overarching framework, right? So consultants believe in many frameworks, right? So we have this framework over here that very clearly identifies what are the different categories of business use cases whereby AI and Gen AI potentially comes in handy. All right, so the first framework is not over here, right? So I'm just saying it offhand, right? So the first category of business use cases are what we call the deploy use cases. Typically, employees of the financial institution would self-initiate this kind of projects, right? With the intention of making themselves more efficient and productive. They want to do away with monotonous, repetitive operational tasks, right? By leveraging on AI and Gen AI. Okay, to make our work, or rather to make our role be more efficient, okay, the kind of output or the kind of quantified impact on our work is going to be not so high. Agree? I'm just trying to make myself more efficient. Okay, so that's the first level of Gen AI business use cases. On the second level, we are talking about reshaping functional processes. Right, rethinking and reimagining how we can make use of AI and Gen AI to perform some of the work that we are doing today in terms of either functional processes or cross-functional processes, right? So based on existing clients' experience, right, it can be seen that successful implementation of AI solutions based on cross-functional collaboration and automation are definitely better able to generate higher levels of quantified business impacts, right? Not only making us more efficient. Okay, and the third one is actually still considered a unicorn at this point in time, right? Making use of AI and Gen AI to come up with new business models, new revenue streams. Okay, not impossible, right? And I think many of our existing clients are or rather we are working with many of our existing clients to look into this particular third category of use case to see how AI and Gen AI are able to, outsmart human beings, okay, to be able to come up with new potential business revenues. Okay, so of course with that, Gen AI has already had many successful implementation use cases, right? So based on what we have seen from our existing clients, right, we have seen successful implementation of personalization, right? For example, customer chatbots, financial advisors, right? Making use of Gen AI solutions to help them be more effective. Okay, operational efficiency, again, customer service centers, call centers, back office roles, we have already seen successful cases, right, whereby AI and Gen AI indeed makes their role more effective and efficient. Okay, and then of course, product development. This is still, I wouldn't say it's a unicorn, right? So, but this is where we are trying to help most of our clients achieve, okay, in the AI and Gen AI implementation journey. So, of course, with all this kind of opportunities, right, there's always the flip side to things, okay? So it's always a double-edged sword. With all these opportunities that AI and Gen AI presents, right, it is also critical and crucial for us to understand that what are some of the potential risks that might be introduced, right? And all these are important because especially for financial services entities, right? So as much as we try to personalize experiences for people, right, and how do we personalize experiences? We do need to ensure that we gather relevant data, right? Personal data, behavioral data, and whatnot. Okay, so therefore, with this kind of opportunity comes the possible risk that if misused, right, it could potentially be used for social engineering attacks. All right, what else? Again, in the financial services industry, fraud as well as potential market manipulation are some of the potential risks that could happen when the all-powerful Gen AI solutions are actually put to misuse. So since 2020, or many of the larger brand names have already implemented AI. It is not a recent thing, right? So AI and Gen AI. So for example, Amex have been using it. Okay, they have started to make use of GANs. So GANs are another architecture to build AI solutions, right? And they have managed to automate risk decisions and help to reduce fraudulent transactions by quite a good 50%, right? What else? Vanguard. So Vanguard has successfully implemented their earlier customer service as well as advisory chatbots. Okay, so enabling the conversion rates to increase by about 15%. So I think this was collected in 2022 or 2023. By now, I'm pretty sure it's higher. What else? Morgan Stanley, again, making use of a GPT-powered chatbot. So they have empowered their financial advisors to be more effective and self-reliant. Right, they don't really need to wait for some of the product specialists to come in to join them into the meetings before they are able to do the closing of the sales. Okay, and of course, Bloomberg, right? Bloomberg, another excellent use case of AI. So AI is adept at performing sentiment analysis, right, as well as categorizing of documents. Okay, so of course, this is definitely going to help Bloomberg become more effective and productive overall as an organization. So very quickly, so these are some of the either past or existing projects that internally BCG we have been helping our clients with, right? So of course all this comes with the in-depth understanding of what are the core problems that our clients are facing, as well as our internal BCG team, what are some of the necessary AI and Gen AI skills that are necessary to build the relevant solutions. So for example, there's this particular bank in South America. One of their key problems is they want to be more effective in terms of handling their customer service requests. Okay, so what the internal team has done for them is to help them firstly develop a searchable knowledge base in-house. This is very important, right? Because today, if you make use of ChatGPT or Google Gemini, right, most organizations are going to prevent this totally because you're not supposed to share any of the enterprise data publicly. Correct? So what we have done for them is we have created an in-house instance, something similar to like in-house ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot, right, for them to establish that searchable knowledge base first, and then subsequently that helps them to better respond to all the customer service requests. Okay, and the final business outcome is that, cost reduction of 10 to 20%. Right, customer service agent spends 80% less time typing because you're doing less search. Right, what else? Their agents, the customer service agents, are also better able to respond to all the customer service requests. Another Asian bank, right? So what started off as just a POC to showcase to the client as what are some of the powers and possibilities of AI and Gen AI quickly became a project that they are very interested in implementing. So primarily, they are interested in implementing two key things. Firstly, allowing once again the financial advisors to be more self-reliant, right, without over-reliance on the investment banker specialists. Secondly, they actually want to develop an in-house, or rather to develop the in-house capability, right, whereby their developers can leverage on Gen AI to ensure that all the codes, all the quality of the codes are enhanced and they can go to market at a faster rate. Okay, so these are the two key things for this particular bank over here. And again, very promising impact that we are expecting. I believe this project is still in the midst, right? So we are already expecting a positive quantified impact for this project. And lastly, another large Asian investment bank. So for this, I think it is very apt because over here we are at the talent pavilion, right? So for this particular client, their key requirement is that they want the entire organization to be put onto the AI implementation and strategy roadmap, whereby they are going to internally upskill and ensure that everybody, including the backend operations, understands how to make use of AI and Gen AI solutions appropriately. Okay, so of course with the expectations to be more effective, more efficient, right? So I think it's a good time for me to hand over to Wilson, right? So from here we can see, we have explored what is AI and Gen AI. We understand what are some of the implementations, what are foundation models. So, and I believe if you walk around to all the other booths over here, if you ask about all the other financial institutions, how have they been implementing AI and Gen AI, you might be able to hear many more interesting use cases over here, right? However, one thing is definitely still true. Not only are the banks going to rely on external vendors to build AI or Gen AI solutions for them, right? Ultimately, the employees, the key users of AI and Gen AI, needs to ensure that they are appropriately equipped with the necessary skill sets to be able to bring out the best effects that AI and Gen AI solutions can have for the organizations. All right, so with that, I'll hand the time back over to Wilson, who will share with you more about upskilling in AI.
Thanks, Nelson, for the very fascinating journey through the evolution of AI and also tangibly how has it impacted companies and the projects that we're working on. So I think for me, I'll be switching gears. So we'll be stepping back from the impact at a company level to what it means to us as individuals, as employees, as business owners. What exactly does AI, the upskilling and transformation has to do with us in this generation, right? So I think Nelson has actually talked a lot about how in the fintech or the financial services industry, there's been a lot of progress. And if you look at it across the entire various industries, you can see that every single industry is on this digital transformation bandwagon. I think the only difference is the speed that they are going at. And I think the key thing that we notice here is there are some obvious early adopters, right? For example, if we talk about media, Netflix, Disney, the level of customization they have done, e-commerce, I think there are some that are really clear. But the rest of the industries, even for energy, healthcare, chemicals, we have already started seeing some of these digital transformations that are happening, and all of them are generally AI-backed. Right, so I think the key takeaway here is no matter the industry you are in, there's an opportunity and there's a requirement for the right kind of digital worker with the right kind of skill set. Right, so when we did some research, we realized that the key problem that companies in Singapore are facing is the lack of digital talent, right? So it's interesting to see that it actually is even above the financial resources part. And based on the quotes that we have gotten, the research that we have gotten, companies are struggling to attract or retain the right kind of digital talent. And that is the area that I'm going to dive a bit deeper in. What exactly do these in-demand skills, digital skills are? What exactly are they? And how can we get them? Right, so I think with the pace of change, we realize that things move a lot faster. So I think one of the phrases that our Prime Minister actually shared during this year's National Day rally is like, gone are the days where you can graduate with a degree and then go through your career and then retire, right? I think in today's world, there's so much upskilling that has to be done at very different parts. And I think that is one of the key reasons we see government agencies like SkillsFuture, MOE coming into the scene to ensure that the right kind of systems, the right kind of motivations are given for upskilling on a consistent basis. Right, so I think one of the quotes that I keep hearing is, oh, AI is going to come and replace us as workers, as human beings. I think one of the quotes that I heard online, which I prefer personally, is AI will not replace humans, but humans that do not use AI or workers that do not use AI will be replaced by workers that use AI. I think that is a more accurate representation that I prefer. And I think the reason for that is with AI, it really improves your level of like efficiency, effectiveness. Like for example, I think Nelson mentioned about how organizations have already set up internal AI chatbots where you are able to put in customer sensitive data or organizational sensitive data in and get an outcome. For me, I use that really often, and I encourage my team to do it as well, because I think these are ways where we can effectively save hours a week from repetitive, menial kind of work and focus on the higher value activities like decision making, data analysis. So when you look at this, it actually suggests that certain kind of job scopes would see an increase in demand for digital talent, and some of them which are more repetitive, more easily automated, will see a decrease. So for example, if I use a very stark example, data entry, right? I think this is something that is prime for AI to disrupt, and I think that's something that can be easily automated, and as a result, we are likely to see a decrease in demand for talents in that area. So I think the list goes on, but if you do focus on the data analysis part, information security, or Internet of Things, I think that is a good direction to look at, because these are the growth areas in the Singapore digital economy. Right, so I think the good news here is for all of us business owners, or even more importantly employees, right, there is a huge demand for digital talent, right? I think in an article by Business Times, they talk about we need 1.2 million digital talented people, right, workers in the economy. So I think that what this means is the opportunity is out there, but are we learning the right skills? Are we upskilling in the right areas? I think that will be the key question that I'll be asking. Right, I think the good news over here is these skills do not require a degree, right? It doesn't take you 3 to 4 years to get started. I think when you look at these different areas, we are talking about less than 5 months, you are able to actually pick up digital skills and then learn and contribute using them. So I think the learning part is really important, but applying it in a real world setting while you are learning is even more important. Right. So I think one of the things that we have researched on is, besides the technical skills like data analytics, like digital transformation, agile methodology, what's really important is also the soft skills part of it as well. So we have actually looked at learners that have gone through our programs, and we know that learners with the right kind of soft skills to complement the new technical skills are more effective in performing better in their current role or to find a new job. We see like an obvious difference in that. That's why when it comes to upskilling, do not forget about the soft skills part, because it's important not just to know the subject matter, but it's also important to know how to prioritize and articulate the value to stakeholders internally and externally. Right, so this is a part that I will share more about how BCG is doing it for the working base in Singapore. Since 2021, we have been upskilling many Singaporeans, PRs, and also residents in this country. But I think for this area, I just want to share that when I speak about these courses, so for me, a bit of background is I've been through a couple of career pivots. So I've transitioned from legal to customer success, B2B customer success, and then to B2C growth. So I think for me, I've actually experienced 2 layoffs consecutively. And when I share about this area, I'm sharing it not just as a professional, but also from a personal angle on what are the things I will look out for and what things I wish I knew when I was going through that transition or upskilling journey myself. Right, so one of the cool things about the BCG program is we are working very closely with SkillsFuture. So the starting point is this is a SkillsFuture subsidized program, and what that means is you will see a very high level of subsidy, up to 95%, depending on your age or your life circumstance, right? So I think that's a good starting point, because accessibility is something that's really important. And when you look at this, it's clear that the financial side of things are quite covered, especially if you are mid-career, more than 40 years old, you are expecting a subsidy of more than 90%. That's the starting point. And after that, you do have SkillsFuture credits that you can offset the rest of it. I'll go into more details about that later. But the starting point is it is accessible financially. And when it comes to what you're learning, I think that upskilling as a whole is really important, but choosing the right training provider is also equally as important. So I think Nelson shared a lot about how BCG has been doing projects with different industries, and I think he's talked about financial services and the tangible companies, business objectives and outcomes that are achieved. The good news is we have distilled all these best practices, processes, frameworks, and we are teaching it to people like you and me, workers like you and me. So we all have the opportunity to get a sneak peek into what happened behind the scenes in a BCG consultancy project and learn the cutting edge best practices and processes, right? So who will be learning from is also from BCG consultants and also industry experts like Nelson and many more, right? So you'll be learning from them directly on their experiences in transformative projects and also be able to get a sense from them what exactly matters in the industry in this area nowadays so that I can be very focused on picking up that right kind of skill set that companies are looking for, that 1.2 million people, what are they looking out for in this group of people? That's something that you can learn really quick. And the last part is not just about learning the new skills. So during my upskilling journey, I did a lot of like learning, self-directed learning on Coursera, YouTube, LinkedIn Learning, many other channels. But one thing I realized is it's not just about what you know, it's how do you present yourself to the job market? How do you present yourself internally if you are looking for like a role change or like an expansion or scope? I think that is something really important. And that is why we have actually included a career support function within the program to have a very holistic support. So you'll be learning from the best, you'll be learning the most in-demand skills, and you'll also be learning about how can you present yourself as a worker who's trying to find a new role or trying to change your scope or get promoted internally. Right, so this is a quick, I won't go into the details, but we do have a very structured approach for you where we'll bring you through this journey where you'll be learning foundational skills, soft skills and technical skills, and more importantly, be able to apply in real world settings. So we do have things like digital hackathon and capstone projects, which is one of my favorite parts of the course. So this is where BCG actually taps into their very wide global client base, companies, and asks them that, hey, do you guys have a business challenge that you want some ideas for, right? So we actually do work with global companies, and then we get certain like real world business objectives and anonymized data for our learners to practice what they have learned on them. So one example is for our recent digital transformation project, we worked with Coca-Cola, and our learners were able to apply what they have learned on a real life business objective and then present it to the Coca-Cola team and also the BCG team, and they got good feedback during this session. So real world learning and real world application.
So in case you're wondering, right, so we do our internal refresh of our content at least twice every year. Okay, so the elements of AI and Gen AI, so I think in the previous slide, I think you have seen 3 tracks of specializations, right? So Gen AI and AI is not only incorporated in business and data analytics, but across all our different tracks, right? Because we are very, our focus is actually on the implementation, right? And the application of AI and Gen AI, regardless of what the functional use case is, right?
Yep. Thanks, Nelson. Yep. So I think he mentioned about the 3 key courses that we looked at. So I think the starting point, how we actually got to these 3 courses where we have data analytics, digital marketing, and digital transformation is a couple of years back, BCG worked with SkillsFuture to identify what exactly are the in-demand digital skills in Singapore that we do not have enough supply for. And that's the starting point that we have worked on. So with that, we actually focus on the 3 most in-demand digital skill sets that Singapore needs more of. And the way we do it is we make it accessible to everyone. So all the courses right now are part-time. So if you do have a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, you are able to attend these courses remotely after hours, during the weekends. So you don't miss out on upskilling even though you have a full-time job. And I know that there are quite a fair bit of information about like target job roles and the type of profile of candidates that we look out for. But I think one key thing is with accessibility and inclusiveness in mind, we actually focus more on the desire to learn of the individual learner. So if you do have a specific interest in a topic but you feel like you might not have the right kind of foundations, do let us know. We do have a team that will speak to you about it. And based on our feedback from learners, our trainers like Nelson, we do have certain processes to actually get people up to speed during the courses as well. So we try not to leave anyone behind in this whole process. Right, okay, so once again, I won't go into the details here, but these are some of the information on what you'll be expecting to learn from each course. And I think what Nelson said is really important, where AI is actually baked into every single course that we have. It's the same as the foundational skills as well, that will teach you to think like a BCG consultant. How do you prioritize? How do you analyze data? How do you present these solutions in a compelling way? How do you think about how to mitigate certain risks? I think these are all the things that we are going to give to learners throughout the whole process, in addition to the technical skills. And that is where you will be a well-rounded candidate to support these companies who are looking for digital talent. Right, so I think the career support part, I will just touch on a few things. So the intention of the career support part is really to make sure that besides learning all the best-in-class knowledge processes from the BCG practitioners, we also want to make sure that you know how to communicate and reach out to your future hiring manager or present yourself in the best possible way to get that role expansion or promotion, right? So that includes things like one-on-one career coaching, interview coacher, workshops, and also a lot of networking. And for BCG, what we do as well is try to get you additional opportunities, because we work with such a wide range of global and local companies. Sometimes we are able to see, hey, there is a good match between a learner within a RISE program, which is our digital upskilling program, and a client that we are working with. And sometimes we connect the dots and they get a positive career outcome. So that happens as well. We try our best to do as much as we can, but the idea is to set you up for success with all these career-related skills. Right, so I think these are just the cadences of what you can expect when you go into the course. During the course, you will expect a series of workshops, and that support doesn't stop after your graduation. I think 6 months after your graduation, we also do have further programs to continuously upskill yourself from a career perspective. And beyond that, we also do keep you in the loop with our alumni networking sessions. I think the intention is our relationship does not just end at the end of the course. It is we know that upskilling and also finding a new role or getting promoted, a career switch, is an ongoing process, and we are here to support you in many different ways. All right, so I've spoken a lot, but I think it's great for me to let our learners share more about their experience. Okay, sounds like there's no audio. So no worries, I will actually skip to the, can you all hear anything?
To expand my mindset and skill sets with new knowledge and experiences.
I, like many others, progressed in our careers. And in doing so, we became too expensive and outpaced in possessing digital skills.
One of the skills which I lacked was data analytics, which is a fundamental skill that is in high demand across all industry.
As part of BCG's commitment to talent development, we joined forces with the Singapore government to create RISE, a nationwide reskilling program that provides in-demand digital skills for mid-career professionals through application-oriented, real-life business project experiences. This unique collaboration provides participants with the opportunity to learn from our strategy practitioners and digital consultants, whilst receiving placement assistance through BCG's extensive client network.
I think RISE provides a strong knowledge foundation on our up-to-date technology landscape and a strong fundamental framework in integrating our current knowledge to our chosen career path.
So BCG RISE provided an exposure to a whole slew of digital skills vastly different from what I have been using, such as Jira, Miro, Power BI, as well as concepts such as Agile, design thinking, and human-centered design.
Prior joining RISE, I have tried to pick up digital skills on my own through online courses, but there were just so many resources online and I didn't know where to start.
So the curriculum covered in BCG RISE actually covers the key developments in Industry 4.0, such as IoT, RPA, 5G, digital twinning. And these were important talking points I realized during my job interviews nearing the end of the course.
Never would I have imagined myself being able to build a machine learning model and present it to a real client for our capstone project.
And what made RISE stood out for me from the other courses that I've attended is how the program has been designed with activities for learners to mingle and network across the different tracks and different ways.
I really enjoy the exposure to the new technology and how BCG breaks it down on how to apply them to the real world, also the intellectual challenge on all the assignments.
What I really like about RISE is its strong and reputable BCG branding. Its curriculum are also industry demand and expert driven, and it's highly funded and supported by the government.
RISE provided us with the opportunity to learn from industry experts, gain vast insights into the actual solutions provided by BCG to their clients.
And why I like this program is because it's BCG.
Looking back, we are happy to share that over 70% of our inaugural batch of graduates have secured jobs within a few months of graduation, and more than half of them have successfully pivoted to a digital role or a role in a tech-focused industry. We invite you to uplift your careers with RISE and explore more at rise.bcg.com.
Yep, so I think the key message here is we have actually helped a lot of job seekers or even existing employees with their career journey. So I think from stay-home parents to mid-career employees, I think we have supported a wide range of that. So I think every time when I watch this video, I thought to myself, I wish I knew about this course when I was laid off in 2020 from the travel industry. So because I did it the hard way, and I think knowing this, that there is a program that actually brings in the best in the industry to teach me the most in-demand skills, I think this could be a better way where people can upskill, and we are really happy to support more people to go through that journey. So I think right now I'm just sharing a quick timeline and also next steps if you would like to find out more about what we can support you with. So I think just some quick eligibility like items here, but I think the main thing is really for you to have the desire to learn and being comfortable with the digital world using a laptop, because so much things will be online and also virtual. And I think generally if you do have like work experience that will be helpful, but do speak to our team if you do have any questions about any of these eligibility items. So some times over here, but I will have like a QR code at the end of this, so feel free to scan it and then you'll get more information. You can speak to my team. So just to let you know that we do have very like upcoming courses in early December. So very good timing to actually get started so that people will be in time for the post-CNY hiring season, right? So I think that's something to think about. These classes are part-time, they are virtual, and we do have a attendance expectation as well, because we want to ensure that you get enough value of the course to ensure a positive career outcome, right? So I think the last part I will share is just the price. So the starting point, this course is 15,000, but the good news is with SkillsFuture heavily subsidizing it, we see that the out-of-pocket fees actually drop tremendously. So for example, if I'm like 40 and above, I'm looking at like 1,900. But the good news is I can use my mid-career SkillsFuture credits to offset the rest of it. So pretty much a lot of us might not have to actually fork anything out of, no out-of-pocket fees to embark on this high-quality upskilling course that BCG runs. Right, so as always, if you do have any questions about the pricing, the kind of funding or subsidy that you get, reach out to us and my team will be able to share more. All right, so I think this is the last slide. So I just wanted to share with you that, yeah, feel free to scan it if you do have any interest to find out more about how we can support you with the upskilling journey. But I'll end off by saying that upskilling can be a challenging, can be quite a longer term journey from my own experience. So it's good not to do it alone, because when you can tap into industry experts and also BCG framework, I think that's always a good starting point to embark and find that career outcome that you have always been looking for. Thank you everyone for your time today.
Thank you.